So what if I told you all the tools, all the knowledge, and all the skills you need to reach financial freedom are already freely available on the internet or available at very low prices? Just think about all the millionaires and billionaires with YouTube channels that are sharing the latest tips and tactics. And I'm not talking about just today. Think about throughout history, all the books that have been written. Successful people have literally spent hours and hours leaving their whole lives and legacies in the form of autobiographies, in books that record their life's work. So everything is already available. Everything is already there for you to learn. So what is the problem? Why can't people figure it out? One of the reasons, and that's the one we're going to address today, is because we lack the ability to learn without our hands being held. One of the most important understandings I've come to realize being an educator for the last 10 years is my students don't actually need me. They don't. They have the textbook, they have all the past questions, past exam questions, they have all the homework assignments. They can very well just go through everything on their own and learn everything. Why am I still needed to tell them what to do, to show them the way? Well, the reason is because growing up in our education system, we're not taught to be self-responsible, to be self-learners. But it is already in our DNA. Just the other day, I was laughing really hard because my wife told a really funny joke. I was clapping. I was laughing so hard I was clapping. And my 11-month-old son, 11 months old, sat on the ground and started clapping because I was clapping. The thing is, I never taught him how to clap. He mirrored me. He copied me. He observed. And Bandura, which is a modern psychologist, very famous psychologist, worked on observational learning and social cognitive theory. And he suggests that we can learn from people we observe. The thing is, the internet allows us to observe titans without ever having met them. So how do you actually apply the observational learning framework so that you can start making changes in your life? That's what we're going to go over today. Well, the first thing that you really want to do is actually observe, right? Like when you watch a video or read a book of a person that you admire, you're not just taking in what they do, you're also thinking about why they do what they do, why they say what they say, and what do they believe that is allowing them to say what they say and do what they do. Never has access been so easy. You can go online and search up a ton of entrepreneurs that are documenting their journeys. And doing so will allow you to look behind the scenes at how they make their decisions. And so it's not about the, tip number 1, open a tax-advantaged account. Tip number 2, buy index funds and never buy individual stocks. I mean, that's like what the advice that I would give to someone starting in their investing journey, right? But I mean, not advice, right? Education only. I'm not a licensed advisor or anything. But index funds are generally a good idea for the average person. Why is that? Well, that's the question that you kind of want to be asking. Like, why isn't this person suggesting that we buy individual stocks, that we day trade, that we trade options? Well, it's because I don't want to expose you to a level of risk. I don't want to expose myself to a level of risk that is mismatched to the capital and education that I have, right? I don't want to expose you to a set of ideas that will allow you to pay more fees than necessary and still underperform the market. In the same way, why do people promote day trading, right? Like, because there are day traders out there, 100%, why do they do it, right? And are they credible? Are they trustworthy? What makes them trustworthy? Are they still talking about day trading 10 years, 15 years into the journey, right? If it was such a money-making venture, why are they talking about it? Because the stock market depends on information. Unless you're a passive investor, in which it is in my best interest to get you to buy an index fund, because the index fund is invested in a bunch of stocks, and if you buy an index fund, you'll be investing in the same basket of stocks. And so all of those stocks will go up in value and in price, right? So I'm not shy about saying that. It's in my best interest to do so, right? But do I control how much those stocks go up or down? Heck no, right? But the idea is, are you understanding what they do, or are you understanding the reasons, the intentions, the motives behind what they do and what they say and how they say things? I think being reflective, actually pausing a video, a YouTube video, or putting down the book and thinking about, well, why would this person do this, is a sign of you applying observational learning, okay? Now, the second thing you want is to think about what kind of role models you can look to. And so you want relevance, right? Like, for example, if you want to upgrade your financial identity, but you're deep in debt, it's probably not a good idea to look at how a billionaire is running their business, right? Well, it is a good idea, for example, if you look at someone that is just one step ahead of you, right? Someone in the same situation as you, but is out of debt, because their situation, their story, their lives are more similar to yours. And so they might be able to give you more targeted help or targeted advice. That's not to say that I am discounting the likes of Dave Ramsey, who is making hundreds of millions of dollars, but his business is financial advice, right? Financial coaching, financial help. So those people do exist, but I wouldn't look at, for example, I would not look at how Steve Jobs ran his business or how Bill Gates lives his life if I wanted to get out of $20,000 of credit card debt, because that's not a life that is relevant to me at this point. Now, the good news is the internet has the long tail, and so you can literally find someone talking about anything these days, and you just have to make the decision whether or not you should trust them or not. And how do you decide on whether or not you should trust the person? Well, if you test adopting the mindsets and behaviors of that person, does your life improve or not? And if it does, then maybe there is value in listening to that person speak and following their ideas. Okay, now, for example, in order for me to meet my own goals, I've learned that I need to become a more articulate speaker. I need to become more coherent. I need to use more stories. I need to use more case studies. I need to take time and speak clearly. And so I've identified people with an ability to hold attention over a long time in the ears and minds of their audiences. So people like Jordan Peterson, Dan Koh, Alex Hormozy, Tony Robbins, that can speak for hours and hours and hours and people will still pay attention. What do I have to learn from these people? And I'm going to talk about this in my next video. So subscribe and pay attention if that's something you care about, because communication is a key skill in income generation, no matter what you do. So the question comes down to this: who has the life or skills that you want? Not ultimately, but just in the next step. What can you learn from them and make your own? Because you're not here to copy, right? You can emulate, yes, but you're not here to be like, oh my gosh, Jordan Peterson loves using the word you, so I'm going to do that as well. You're not here to do that. You're here to think about, well, why does Jordan Peterson love to use the word you so much? Well, maybe it's because it puts the audience in a scenario and it makes them a part of the process. Okay, given that, I'm going to experiment using the word you and then adapt it more and more in my speaking if it works to the same degree that it worked for Jordan Peterson, or if it's improved my attention and the audience's attention in the speaking arrangement, in the social interaction. Okay. And so I think it's time for some reflection, right? Like, where are you at currently? Who are you? What do you want to work on? And more importantly, what does your reality allow you to work on? And so once you've identified that, well, maybe it's just going for a run, maybe it's going for a walk, maybe it's practicing speaking, practicing writing. The next step is to just start practicing. So what are you waiting for? Go.